All right. Good afternoon. Hi, everyone. We are live again today. Thank you for tuning in. So, what is the topic today? The topic today is transitioning your team from cruise ship to speedboat. Yes. So, first of all, Jack, let's give a high five to all our participants. High five. Okay. So, what are we going to talk about today? It's going to be an interesting topic for us to look at this metaphor of cruise ship as well as speedboat. Okay, so comment below. Please put your comment, right? If you want to say something, so that we can also pick your brain. So we want to make this session interactive for all of you here, so that we can also explore as well as to learn from all of you. Right. So first of all, we would like to define what is the cruise ship and what is a speedboat. Now, how many of you have been to a cruise ship before? Please comment cruise in our comment below, so that we know you have been to cruise ship before. Right. So for me, I have been to a cruise ship. My honeymoon with my wife, Emily. So if you're watching Emily, our honeymoon was at the cruise ship from Penang to Phuket. Yeah. So I love traveling. I think this is the time we miss travel a lot. But anyway, let's dive into our topic today. Huh? Okay. So what is a cruise ship, Jack? Can you please share with us the next slide, so that we can actually inform, or rather explain what it means from cruise ship to speedboat?
Yeah, all right. So for those of you who are joining us on our Facebook Live, welcome again. If you just joined us and if you've been to a cruise ship, please comment cruise ship down below. And let me bring you through the next slide, whereby we're going to talk about what's the difference between a cruise ship and a speedboat. And why we want to talk about cruise ship is because during this MCO lockdown, we noticed that there are a lot of organizations, be it the SMEs or large corporation, people are not ready for this MCO and people are not prepared. And a lot of employees, as well as even from the employer side, are always questioning us that, hey, what should we do next? What are we supposed to do? People are a little bit lost and uncertain on what they are supposed to do. And this is where we will give you the analogy that it's like a cruise ship, a large organization that's carrying a lot of people. There are cruise ships that can carry up to 1,000 people. There are cruise ships that can carry up to 20,000 people, just like our companies right now out there. There are companies who have 1,000 employees all the way to 20,000 employees. These are the analogy that we want to share with you about a cruise ship. And the speedboat is a smaller team, a tactical team, that go out, or probably speedboat that can survey around the cruise ship. So this is where we want to share with you. So the difference between a cruise ship and a speedboat is that in terms of distance, cruise ship can go very, very far. So they can go from one country, they can travel miles and miles. And in comparison to speedboat is in terms of a short distance, you want to go from probably one island to another, but probably not from country to country. All right. But however, in terms of maneuverability, the cruise ship is lower as compared to speedboat. For example, if there is something up in front, there's an iceberg in front, or there's a famous Titanic story that I like to share, is that when they see the iceberg, they are not able to maneuver around the iceberg in time. So, and therefore they actually hit the iceberg, right? But if you're on speedboat, your chances are, if you want to move around, especially when there are a lot of obstacles in front of you, especially when the sea is shallow, it's easier for you to move around and move very, very fast. Okay, so the response time is very, very fast as compared to a cruise ship. Okay, however, the capacity for a cruise ship is higher, but a speedboat is smaller. Okay, so capacity is cruise ship, you're able to bring many, many people with you, whereas on a speedboat, you can only carry maybe 4, maybe 5. Okay, very small team. Okay, but in terms of comfort level, cruise ship, of course, those of you who have gone through, especially like Hilson, have gone through his honeymoon through a cruise ship, will understand that cruise ship could be like a 7-star hotel like that. You have a swimming pool in the ocean. All right, so that's the comfort, of course, is very high. Whereas those of you who have gone diving before, if you've taken speedboat, you know that there's a lot of bumpy ride, and it's not meant for you to feel comfortable and things like that. All right, so the comfort level for speedboat is, of course, definitely lower as compared to cruise ship. So, of course, you compare the cost of cruise ship and the speedboat. Definitely, speedboat is cheaper and faster way to go lah. In terms of cost saving, definitely speedboat is the way to go lah. All right, but in terms of for you to get people together for a cruise ship, the time for assembly is, of course, is lengthy. Whereas speedboat is something that you can do very fast. 1, 2, 3, 4, ready to go, and then you can just go. Okay, so yeah. Oh, hi Mitra, hi Muihan. Yeah, so for the rest of you who just joined us, we're going to talk about how do we transition your team, especially in your organization, from cruise ship to speedboat. So these are the two comparisons, whereby we say that when the cruise ship is stuck in the middle of the ocean and they cannot do anything, so a lot of people inside this cruise ship are questioning, what do we do next? Do we stay idling here, or do we go out and find help? Or some people want to go out and get help. Okay, some people go out and see whether they can find another cruise ship. All right, or they can explore the surrounding areas to see whether there's something else that we can do. Okay, but what we want to say that in terms of cruise ship and speedboat, right, there are also a handful of people, I think, during this MCO, probably not speedboat lah, so they actually are taking steamboat. So this is something that we want to advise people, don't fall into the steamboat lah. Whichever boat you are, don't fall into the steamboat. So a lot of people have a lot of steamboat session, so they eat, they see MCO work from home means makan je lah, right? So we say that if you take too much steamboat, right, you end up in a lifeboat. So when the cruise ship can no longer move, when everyone is too heavy, then you will get thrown into a lifeboat. And this is not advisable, as because if you are thrown in a lifeboat, and as you can see in the picture, you can see this guy, he's reaching out for the speedboat. He hoped, I should have taken the speedboat earlier, which I didn't do, but now I'm stuck in a lifeboat. So when you're in a lifeboat, a few things that you will feel like you feel like you're no longer in control, because you cannot move. You are just trying to stay afloat in a big wide ocean with limited resources, and then you are waiting to be safe. So you feel like very helpless, and most of the time people are asking, why this happened to me, who is going to be safe, who is going to come here to save me, and they feel very depressed and things like that. And of course, the third one is the risk of dying is very high lah. If you are stranded in a wide ocean where there's no land nearby, there's no help coming to you, you're also not sure whether you can survive without water. So the risk of dying is very, very high. So today's topic is what we want to share with you is something that's very simple. If you find yourself struggling, or staying in a cruise ship and currently it's not moving, we want you to transition you or even your small team to hop on a speedboat and go out there and do something rather than waiting for a moment to be put into a lifeboat. Yeah. So there are 3 things that we want to share with you today on how to ensure that you don't end up in a lifeboat, and how do you transition yourself into a speedboat instead. All right.
Okay, thank you, Jack, for that amazing metaphor and analogy of the steamboat and the lifeboat. So, comment below to tell us whether you are in a steamboat or you are in a lifeboat right now, right? Just to make it fun for us to enjoy this session. Right, so I would like to continue on back to our topic, transitioning your team from a cruise ship to speedboat. So I think important metaphor that I also want to add on, Jack, is that I think cruise ship also represents companies who are very big, very comfortable. They have a lot of manpower. They are already established in the market, right? Speedboat are companies like the startup companies, SME, smaller size, but yet they can still function really well. So these are the two categories we are looking at. Now, how do we transition from cruise ship to speedboat? I think number one, what is important is commitment. So comment below if you get my message, commitment, right? Now, we are also not saying that you need to abandon ship right now. So some of you might be thinking, are you saying that we should, change to a smaller size organization or downsize? No. So if you are, I would like to just bring you back to this history about Admiral Zheng He. So we run our team building program called Sail to Success. I designed that program based on Admiral Zheng He. He was a Ming Dynasty eunuch, so he has sailed from China all the way to Africa. Now, it was an amazing fleet when he sailed. He had 300 cruise ships together with him. So if you see from the picture itself, right, the picture with these two big anchor, they are called the treasure ship, which is about 100-meter long, huge, just like a full-size basketball court. Now, when Zheng He traveled, he did not actually go with only the big cruise ship or the treasure ship, but he has a lot of smaller ship, as you can see, called the Zhang, right? The Chinese Zhang, which is representing the speedboat now. So the strategy of being able to be flexible as well as to be also big and established. So number one, don't abandon your ship. You can, when you are a big company, you can also utilize the smaller ship so that we can launch new initiative at this moment, venture into new market, right? And what is more important is that we also need to rely on the speed of trust. So when we are committed, team members are able to trust among ourselves better, right? And that is where the speed is established, right? So this is the first point about commitment. So what are the comments that we have today? Looks like everybody is a bit quiet here. Hi Melvin. Right, hi Catherine. Hi Matthew. Steamboat is nice. It's raining.
Hi, Mark.
Okay. So we like to add on to the second point. Jack, perhaps maybe you can explain about the second point. How do we transit from a cruise ship?
But before we go on to the second point, I still want to highlight in terms of commitment, right? Because from my end, when I do consulting for organization, I normally get to hear both sides of the story. And when we talk about commitment, the natural thing that we normally come to the top of our mind is the employees' commitment to the organization. Whether are they loyal, do they stay true with the organization through this tough time, or do they abandon ship? So, but from the other perspective that I want to share is also the commitment of the organization or the management team to the employee as well. So when things are going tough, right, things are going bad, do the employee just cut off the employees, let them die, or just throw them on a lifeboat and let them figure by themselves? Or do they also do their very best to actually secure their employees' best of interest, to protect them, to make sure that they still have a livelihood and things like that? So, of course, tough times are also a good chance for organizations to prove themselves. And this is how you can actually attract loyalty from the organization. Most of the time, managers and leaders are always trying to think of ways on how to hire loyal employees. You can't really buy loyalty, but when you can bring your employees to survive and thrive through this time of crisis, this is where you can actually build loyal employees or loyal workforce. So it's not something that you can buy with money or you can offer, something. But this is a good time for organizations to actually develop loyalty among their workforce. Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right. So I want to bring you guys to the next point. So the next point is what we call communication. So as I share with you about communication, if you have something that resonate with you, you have experienced something, or you feel like, oh, maybe, I disagree with this point, I don't think whatever the speaker say is correct. You have own point of view. Maybe you can put it down in the comment section, and we will share it with the rest of the people here who will be watching. All right. So communication. So of course, when we talk about communication in terms of crisis, there are a lot of uncertainty that's going wrong in organization. Number one is that the communication must be about clarity and precision. Just a few days ago, I was attending a webinar, and this webinar, they have a breakout session, and I was having conversation with one of the participants who in the organization, they felt that they didn't do enough communication. So when they don't do enough communication, the backlash is that the employees actually took their frustration to Facebook page. So they are all the 500 old employees actually log on to their Facebook company's official Facebook page and voice out their grievances. And when employees do that, of course, they will write very nasty things and all that. So in times of crisis like this, it's already very hard for the organization to maintain or keep afloat. But when your client and when your stakeholders actually go onto your website or your Facebook and they see there's so many complaints, people saying that you're abandoning them, people don't care about them, that also give you, I would say, like a double backlash lah. Yeah.
Okay, Jack. So just want to add on a comment from Edward. Thanks, Edward, from commenting. I think this resonate with the points that you just mentioned. So Edward says that it's when an open and transparency is very important, not just from the management, but also from the employees. So I think transparency is created when there is clear, precise communication. The frequency of communication, it is also important. So I think the third point that you mentioned here, style, the style of communication plays a very, very important role right now, right? So now as we are all moving towards virtual, virtual online stuff, I think it doesn't stop us from communicating with respect, right? I think that is important. No, the picture though says like in crisis, people tend to shout a lot, like
like those like the army here lah.
Get this done and all that, right? But I think this is also very important to remind us to communicate with respect, to do the right thing, even though you are in crisis. Right. Thanks, Edward, for the comment.
Yeah. So moving on to my second point, which is the frequency. I think Hilson already touched on the style. When in terms of crisis, be more sensitive of the people that are going through this crisis in terms of their emotion, in terms of what people are feeling. So try to tone down, or be mindful of when you communicate with your subordinates or even with your co-workers, that they might be feeling, they might be going through a tough time right now. And the second part is in terms of the frequency, of course. So how frequent you need to communicate with your stakeholders. And of course, during this time of crisis, definitely keep the frequency very high. So yeah, so that's about it for communication.
Okay. So what is the third point, Jack, for transitioning your team from cruise ship to speedboat? All right. So let's move on to our third point today. Yes. So the third point, it's about collaboration. Collaboration. So in order for us to be able to transit from cruise ship to speedboat, I think it requires a lot of collaboration. And this is a wonderful opportunity for us to collaborate right now. No, when we were doing team building programs for our corporate clients, and most of them were saying like team building, teamwork is so important, but when they go back to the organization, they just find it very difficult to collaborate. they will just go back to square one, just continue to do whatever they are doing. So in order for us to transit right now, I think this is a golden opportunity for us to be able to collaborate. And how do we do that? I think it all starts from removing our silo mentality. So I think we cannot be thinking about just our department right now. So when the ship is facing a challenge, whether it's a sinkhole is there, the whole ship is going to sink. It doesn't matter you are in finance department, HR department, or sales department, right? Everybody is affected. So this is the right time for us to come together, right? To put all our differences aside, right? And really focus on what is possible. How can we move on faster, right? How can we leverage on our strengths, right? And what is also important is to be able to cheer everybody up, then we will have a wonderful working opportunity together. So a speedboat, even though it only carries small number of people, but we all depend on this speedboat, right? So this is the mindset that we need to have right now, right? So what do you have in mind, Jack, about this point?
Yeah, I think naturally when we are in crisis, people tend to be more stressful, and when people are stressed, they try to be very defensive, and that actually put people on the silo mentality. But with the point that you're sharing right now, I think it's good that people are aware of that. Sometimes we do that unaware, so we just need to be aware of that and be mindful of what are some of the approach when we actually deal with our coworkers. Yeah.
Okay, so these are the 3 points that we have shared today. Comment. Please give us your thought. What do you think about what we have just shared? We would like to pick your mind as well, right? So maybe just to recap back again what we have shared, right? How are we able to transit from a cruise ship to speedboat? I think it can be summarized into our 3 C's, right? The 3 C's. So what is the first C? So the first C that we would like to share with you is commitment. So I think commitment now comes from all levels. It's not only from the top, but it's also from the bottom. So everybody has to have this commitment, right, of not abandoning ship, right? The commitment of wanting to do the best, right, for our team, no matter what, right? The commitment to be able to leverage on whatever opportunities that we have. And the second C that we are talking about today is about communication, right? So basics are still very important, right? Basics are still important. Whether you are in crisis or not in crisis, it still go back to the fundamental of communicating. So like what Jack has mentioned just now, Jack said the frequency of communication is important, clarity of communication, and the style of communicating is so important right now for us to create mutual trust and respect. So, Jack, do you like to add on the third C?
Yeah, so the third C is what we call collaboration. And I think the good thing about this crisis is that it creates a lot of opportunities for you to build collaboration. But of course, there's a caveat. The caveat is that you need to be proactive and don't always stay and wait for things to happen. People are saying that my management is not doing things, my colleagues are not doing things, my bosses are not doing this and that, which they're supposed to do. If you find yourself keep saying that, most probably you already put yourself voluntarily into a lifeboat and you already push yourself out into the ocean and you've really done that. So be very mindful, be careful that you don't put yourself in a lifeboat. Take this opportunity, practice commitment, communication, and collaboration within your organization or within your area of influence, so that you can put yourself into speedboat and contribute towards the organization.
Okay. So, Yes, you are right. So this is the 3 C's that we have covered today: transitioning your team from cruise ship to speedboat, commitment, communication, and collaboration. So I hope that you learned something today. So we would like to see you again in our next Facebook Live.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, very quickly before we end, because it's already 25 minutes, everyone is getting ready for the KCAM announcement. Maybe what you can do for us while you're at home or you're listening after the live show, you can comment down below what we'd like to hear from us in our next show. What are some of the things that you want to find out? You want to ask any question? It'll be good for you to comment down below. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
All right. Thank
So,
you, everyone.
high five.